now watching Animal Expedition Files.
What's up, everybody? Hey, I am the Animal. That was my Bigfoot mask. I was gonna wear it, but it was too late. It was a last minute thing I wanted to do. But welcome. It's a Wednesday. I think it's a Wednesday. But yeah, we're gonna have a fun time. We got the Cryptid Women's Society in the background. Where they're already causing a bunch of shenanigans back there, but and having a lot of fun. And causing trouble and throwing axes around and all that stuff with their new axe toy. But we're gonna have a lot of fun. Hey Andrew, what's up, buddy? It was good seeing you at the Cobble Mountain Critter Festival. What's up, Stacy? How y'all doing? I miss y'all. It's good to be back, full schedule. Got a lot of amazing guests coming on. A lot of good stuff happening. A lot of events that I'm going to be able to go to, and Comic-Cons and a lot of cool stuff. So I'm excited. A lot of Bigfoot stuff. I'm working on a documentary right now, so stay tuned for that too. But I want to kind of share some with you, paranormal wise, but I want to bring them on and see their take about it. So we're going to bring them on right now, and we're going to have a little fun here. What is up? Lucas here. Troublemakers from all the way from New Zealand and Australia. So way down under.
You call us the troublemakers, I don't know.
Which I used to live at back in the day, so I'm pretty familiar with Australia.
Yeah.
A lot of crazy animals up there. And
yeah. And there's new ones being found all the time, and none of them are nice.
Oh man, several episodes, but I also see you don't have much of it. Oh yeah, I just started out Spotify, so it'll get up there, Don. I'm working on that. There's so much stuff I'm working on right now with Spotify, Apple, Dark Realm TV. So don't forget to check those things out. But I do have a paranormal thing I do want to share with you guys here. Kind of fun. It's something I've been kind of wanting to do lately, is trying to get paranormal ghosts to make a farting sound. So let's check this out and you'll see what I'm talking about.
So does anything strike you as soon as you come?
Well, just as we walked through the door,
yeah.
it get me across the solar plexus. It seems here that I'm getting this feeling of like a man and a woman, and I feel this is from the residual energy, and that is linked with a man. He comes in from past memory, and it's horrible feeling this of it. It's like sickening.
Did he live here, or was he just visiting this particular house?
No, it had something very strongly to do with what's that? Say it again. He was delayed. Delayed. What?
What was that?
What was you, was it, that Carl? You did hear it was a bang, that
Yeah,
was.
it's a big bang. If you made that noise, could you please make that noise again for me?
Yes, definitely. That definitely came from behind. Oh, God.
God, we're getting more and more of this, aren't we? Every time.
We're getting more and more of this, aren't we?
No, it was like
No, that's something else. That's something else. I have to be really formal here, I'm sorry, but my lady, could you please do it twice for us really loudly? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
still resides here. 400 years after she died. You think, wow, what a powerful... I'm scared that out. Oh no, that's mad. Did you hear that? I'm wondering whether that was me. Let me just try and do it. Nope. That's me. I thought that was it.
Jesus.
So you died
Oh
here.
my god. Imagine being on a paranormal investigation having that.
Funny. Oh, that's really, really, really funny.
I do watch that program. I have watched that. So, yeah, it's pretty. There's no farting in it, though, but not that I know of.
I was dying. I was like, I had to put this on there because I always talk about farting and all that stuff and toilets and tacos and so I had to. But speaking about farting, actually, we actually had evidence that well, a friend of mine showed me an evidence about a Bigfoot farting, which was pretty interesting. They have a thing called the gifting chair, and they put a recorder on the bottom of the gifting chair, and it had the noises of the stuff. This thing, whatever it was eating it, and you could hear it. It was like whatever this beast was, and right at the end you hear like literally like it, and it was funny because the guy's from Massachusetts, so he has that like Massachusetts slang. He's like, "Was that a thought?" The Bigfoot.
What's that fart caught on?
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Oh, that's
we were just like listening to this like at like 2 a.m. This recorder, and we were dying like in the whole.
Yeah.
I'm
set.
honestly, I'm like, I've just done my makeup, man. Come on.
By the end of the show, there ain't gonna be no makeup. You're gonna be laughing so hard. But actually, I do want to get serious. I don't know if you guys heard of the Bigfoot Patterson film that's like worldwide, and there's been so many speculations now. I don't know if you guys heard there's like a speculation this guy came out of there's a Bigfoot suit now. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
They found the Bigfoot suit, apparently the Bigfoot suit in
The
quotation
Bigfoot
marks.
suit, yeah, kind of. But I want to share this video real quick, and we'll talk a little bit about that because this video intrigues me. I don't know why, but let's check it out.
The Patterson-Gimlin film, shot on October 20th, 1967, by Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin, is a renowned piece of Bigfoot evidence. Filmed in Bluff Creek, Northern California, it shows a large, hairy, bipedal creature walking away from the camera and occasionally looking back. Patterson, a Bigfoot enthusiast, and Gimlin embarked on a horseback expedition with a 16mm Kodak camera. Their footage quickly sparked debate. Supporters point to the creature's realistic movements and anatomical features, while skeptics argue it could be a man in a suit. Despite extensive analysis over the years, the film's authenticity remains unresolved. Roger Patterson died in 1972, steadfastly maintaining the film's authenticity. Bob Gimlin, initially reluctant to discuss the film, later became an active advocate for its genuineness. Despite the controversy, the Patterson-Gimlin film endures as a significant part of Bigfoot lore, sparking ongoing discussions and investigations into the existence of undiscovered creatures.
I guess so. But yeah, I don't know. This whole Patterson video has been like very interesting lately because people have been saying like, "Oh, they found the costume. It's not real." But what's your guys' take on this whole Patterson film that's been worldwide since the 70s.
I mean, they've done so. It's been scrutinized so much, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you've got, I mean, it is the most scrutinized Bigfoot, film that's out there, and the fact that they can't give you a definitive kind of answer, and then they went in and they did all the close up, and you can literally see the muscles, the buttocks, all that kind of stuff. I'm kind of going more for that. It's real. I mean, there's no way kind of back then that you could have got a Bigfoot suit. That was kind of their argument, isn't it? That's kind of one thing that we looked into, wasn't it? Were they able to make a Bigfoot suit that was so well made that it stuck to your body, and even with the top kind of costume makers and that kind of stuff, because it would have had to have been.
Well, the story goes, so we did some really deep dive research into this when we were talking Bigfoot versus Yowies on one of our lives. And the story goes that the Bigfoot costume that they used was taken from one of the set, like a Hollywood set, right? So it was created by one of the top costumers of the time, right, of the 1970s. And it was a gorilla suit, essentially. And then they put an American football shoulder pads in, and it was an American football helmet, right? And then they turned it into this A, B, C, and D kind of bits and pieces. And I'm with Juliet on this. Like, I've scrutinized that kind of a lot. We've been through a whole heap of research on it. And yeah, people can come out and say, I was the guy in the suit, da-da-da-da-da. There was all of that sort of stuff that came out. At the same time, we know that there are hoaxes that weren't hoaxes, right? It's all just a smear campaign to take you from one side to the other, or to change your opinion on it. I'm of the opinion that it is real. I'm of the opinion that from a musculoskeletal position, perspective, like, I'm a personal trainer. I've been working with human bodies for the best part of 27 years, right? All over the world. To be able to see muscle engage the way that it engages on Patty is either has to be CGI animated or is real, full stop. There is no way that you can get a suit covered in hair or fur to engage muscles the way that those muscles engage. You can see the muscles engage in her calf muscles at the back of her leg. You can see the muscles engage in her quadricep, which is the front of her leg. Those sort of things cannot happen without engagement from the brain to fire that muscle from an electrical charge, full stop. So from my, very, very small amount of knowledge base kind of transferring into biological creatures and animals and people, that has to happen. And I don't know that the government wants to hand out all of their AI and CGI animations back in the 1970s to
you never know.
We know that, like, the government has, like, or the
We're gonna talk
military,
about
or whatever
that.
you want to call it, years worth of advanced technology, including holographic imagery and everything else. But I don't know if they'd be using that to bullshit a Bigfoot sighting. What's the purpose?
Especially you would have to work out a lot to be able to fit in that suit. Like, literally, there'd be a lot of buttocks kind of exercise.
That's a good booty on him.
I know. Me, like, man, I ain't gonna get that buttocks that.
There's a lot of glute bridging. There's a lot of abduction machine going on.
It would have to be machines like that to do that, and I don't think someone's gonna be doing that in the 70s, especially like the camera that they had back in the. Hey, what's up, Jessica? How's it going? Hey, William. But yeah, you would have to do a lot of workouts to fit freaking suit, especially of how tall it was. What was it, like 8 or 9 feet tall? Yeah. And like the definition in itself, like you said, like the muscle mass.
That was honestly like the one thing that really, really got me. And the length of the gait as well. Like, the gait that it takes, like the length of the stride, there's only so many ways you can fudge that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's like that, and the musculature firing that, I'm kind of like, I know I know that.
And that's exactly it. Back in the 70s, would you go to that much effort to fake a video? Not really. You know what I mean? It's just like there was no real kind of rhyme or reason behind it. You know, like saying Gimlin was very kind of reserved about it. He didn't, you know, and it was just one of those things. It's like, why would you do that? It's just, I mean, and if it was going to be a fake, it would have been pretty bad. You know what I mean? It's the 70s. Probably would have had flowers in its hair.
Going back to government now, they've been talking about having a Bigfoot on site wherever this site is. It could be alive or it could be not alive, but there's talks of, could the government be hiding this just like UFOs?
Well, I mean, look, we did, you know, like us, when we went into, like we're saying, the deep dive research, you know, there were stories of, you know, like fires, I think it was the California fires, and how Bigfoot were turning up and basically being, you know, walking in with soldiers being chucked into the backs of trucks, some were injured, some, you know, people said that they saw this. You know, there are areas where there's supposedly, you know, high Bigfoot activity where nests have been found, and what happens? They basically buy the land and shut it off. You can no longer access it. So if they weren't hiding anything, then they wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? It's a typical government thing. Oh, nothing to see here, but I'm going to shut this whole area down so nobody can come back here. You're like, oh, okay. Because that makes sense.
Well, it's just like, you know, Florida, there's an area that's big in skunk area, and they actually have a government area where it's closed off. You cannot go. They say it's for testing, for their bombing and all that stuff, or whatever their exercise is. But it's really interesting because like there's a lot of reports there. There was actually a person on my Facebook feed there doing a live right near where the military does their special exercise, where there's Bigfoot signs also, you know, that magically appear there too. So so it's just very interesting.
Bigfoot and the government, you know, it's like, you know, chuck a bit of dog man in there and poof.
And it's funny because they talk about UFOs and all the stuff that's coming around now. Like, who knows if they're going to be saying, oh, well, now Bigfoot are around. There's like 30 type of species around here. And we're just saying this out loud now, just like the whole UFO craze.
Well, we didn't want to cause another panic of people going, oh, we know Bigfoot's out there. It's like everyone be like, yeah, we know. You know, it'd be like the whole UFO thing.
The UFO thing. But look at the alien big cats, right? In Australia, there are so many videos coming out of these black panthers walking around through New South Wales at the moment. Like, I'm talking hundreds of videos that I'm seeing, and they're not meant to be there. And the government is still saying, no, they're not really there. That's rubbish. It's bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger. And I think it's our opinion that they turn, you know, our national land into reservations to protect, house, cover up, whatever direction you want to look at it. Of these creatures. And I think Bigfoot is the same in that, like Yowies in Australia, 100%, they know that they exist, they know that they're real, and there's just so many encounters. And like, you know, there's so many podcasters out there that say, if only one account is real, if only one, that's one that's real. That means that it's real. And so these government officials, parks and recreation managers, you know, military, whatever, they know. No doubt they have some of these specimens on base, be it alive or dead. I would say alive, probably. What would be the point in killing it? Can't study it when it's dead.
Nope. That's why I think they have something in a cage that we don't know about, just like the UFO thing. Totally. You know, if I was a Bigfoot and I was caught, I would have probably broke out a long time ago and tell all my friends, be like, let's get
yeah. And that you know, that's it. They avoid people, you know, they are masters of disguise. They know how to avoid people, and there's probably a really damn good reason for that. You know, like, you go back like 300-400 years, they were actually coming into camps and sitting, there's records of them coming, Yowies coming into camps and sitting down with the Aboriginals and hanging out with them, having a cup of tea, having food, whatever they were doing. Same as Native American. But then, there's always been the good and the bad side to it. But then all of a sudden, now they're completely avoiding everybody. And there's a damn good reason for that. That's probably the fact that these things are being hunted. And that's the only way you can kind of put it down, is that they're being hunted and they're avoiding, everyone, because the more times that they're seen, the more kind of people that the military will step in and be like, oh, they've been seen here, so they will go in. And we all know, what the military and the government and stuff do with anything strange or unusual, or especially if they're not kind of volunteering their their DNA.
Hey, Animal, there's a show that you should watch. It's called The Big Les Show, LEZ show, and it's all about a Sasquatch, aka Yowie, that lives in Australia.
Huh. I gotta check it out.
I'll send it to you. He smokes a little bit. He's a bit naughty.
He's a bit. It's not a dirty movie, right?
No. Hang on, I'll send it to you so that you can watch it, okay? It's real funny. It's real funny. My son is 17 and he was like, Mom, do you know there's a Bigfoot show in Australia? And I was like, no. And he was like, yeah, it's funny. Because that's the voice of my 17-year-old.
Yeah, that's funny.
Hey, so what's your view on the Patterson Gimlin film? We didn't get your view. Do you think that it's real? Do you think it's
honestly, I know people have monetized it and overlooked it and tried to use all these programs and stuff like that to try to prove the whole theory of, was this film real or fake? I think honestly it's real, because if you go back to the tribal days of the Indians and the Aborigines, they have these stories where they saw these animals, the forest people. I mean, there's so many names that the
wild man, around the world, isn't it?
That these people that used to live with these things. Hey, how's it going? Where was I going with that? But there was a lot. They just told these stories. The Aboriginal, the Indians had all these stories about the Yowie, the Yeti, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, the Ohio Grassman. Chewbacca. Wait, that's Star Wars. That's Star Wars. Same thing. But no, it's just pretty interesting that there's so many stories about that, and then we see that film, the first film ever that actually has a full form Bigfoot from the 70s. Because if you see all the film now, we have technology that has 4K all the way up to 12K. We have these amazing cameras. We have iPhones that have better cameras than some of these, and it's still, every image we see is blurry. Why is every damn thing is blurry? But the film from the 70s, there was a way worse camera technology in its day, was way better than something that was.
Yeah, man. So you can get really amazing UFO footage on the old school Nokia phone cameras, because it's got a slower clip rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like we've gone, technology is great, but it's like literally cutting us out of anything that kind of sits between dimensions or veils or whatever, where we're basically unable to see it now. You can see skyfish through the old kind of video recorders and that sort of stuff. So I'm like, Mummy's gonna go get me an old camera. Oh yeah.
Get an old camera. I mean, it might be dangerous getting one of those cameras, because I might end up breaking it.
Oh, you got to get a Nokia. We used to call those the brick, and everyone when we were 18.
Oh yeah.
Speaking about bricks, do you remember those old cell phones? They were like a freaking paperweight, and had the white antenna or the black antenna. I remember growing up as a kid, and I used to take my dad's, and it was freaking like I put it in my pocket, and it was sticking out like a freaking flashlight. Like, now we went from that to like something that's
So
flat.
Miami Vice. Yeah.
Just amazing how technology just gets so much better, but when you take a picture of a Bigfoot, it sucks.
Yeah, blurry. But I mean, is that because they have interdimensional kind of abilities wrapped around them? Is it because they're kind of the predator where they have that kind of electromagnetic field that's disrupting that kind of advanced technology? Like Francesca says, you know, old school is the best sometimes, 100%, because it works on different radio waves, right? Like the old school what do you call them, the big old ones that used to take into the bush and stuff, right? That work on the low level radio frequencies. Not that old, baby, but
hey Jeff, what's up?
My dad used to work with conservation, and we would take out those big transistor radio things to, you know, go out into the middle of the bush, middle of nowhere man's land, and like be able to still kind of communicate and that sort of stuff. And those were huge, man. That was like transistor radio with a huge long aerial, and
the backpack of the aerial was flying up.
I'm taking one of those out.
Yeah, but it's like in paranormal stuff where you use the instant snap photos. I don't know what they call, you know, so you take a photo. Yeah, so like your little Polaroid. So you can literally take a photo, like with a phone, nothing's there. You take the same area, same photo at the same time with a little Polaroid. So that, and then, you know, there's something there. So, you know, it's really interesting, you know, going back into like literally that old school kind of stuff and how it seems to capture. So maybe that's what all you Bigfoot hunters need to do. Just get some old school cameras, get the whole
I'm just gonna start like dressing up as a Bigfoot, like when I do these hunts, and just do Bigfoot calls. Like do Bigfoot, but do it like where no one like could see me, and like maybe I'll catch a Bigfoot. Let's just hope it's not mating season.
yeah. You're like, wow, you're a pretty young thing.
I need to call 911 or something.
Bigfoot's taking advantage of me. He's touching me in inappropriate places.
You want to know something funny? Speaking about crazy things, because as a diver, I have a diver buddy who catches golf balls where they do the golfing and all that stuff in the lakes, and there's a lot of gators, and he did it into the point. Well, there's a lot of gators in these golf ponds, and he did it at the time when it was mating season for gators. And he was getting these balls, right? Just put them in his bag, and all of a sudden he felt this weight on his like his back. And he's like looking, and it was a freaking gator mating on his dive tank. No word of a lie. This is a true story. And he's just sitting there like,
oh, this is uncomfortable.
This is like very, should I be happy or not happy? Like, this gator kind of likes me a little too much.
At least he's not going to eat me.
Yeah, at least he's happy right now, but later it might not be.
Oh my.
If you don't reciprocate, then.
I don't even know where this show's going. Speaking about not knowing where this is going, I actually have something I wanted to talk to you guys about, because I had a conversation with this guy that at the airport on my way back to Florida was talking about flat Earth. I kind of want to go into the flat Earth theory. Here's why: because he went into UFOs and technology of its time with the whole pyramids and everything like that. The reason why I'm going into that, because of how he was saying, oh, UFOs are in the water. That's where they came from. They didn't come from space, because they don't believe that space is real. They believe they believe we're in this dome. This Jeff's like, oh God. He's like, where are we going on this? I know, just be patient with me to see where I'm going with this. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but we're gonna talk about it. Only on Animal Expedition Files. That's why we talk about weird shit. But Do I believe in it? I don't know. But I do. The one thing that was weird that it was mentioned, it was, I don't know if you guys heard of this theory that there's watchers out there and 200 craters, and each crater is a watcher worldwide. And I think they said, well, like one of them was in Australia, France. There's a few in the United States.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What do they deem a watcher, and why are they sitting in a crater?
I don't know. That's the one thing I don't get. Like to me,
is he talking like watchers as in Nephilim? Is that what he's talking about?
That kind of, in a way, because I was gonna say Nephilims earlier.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts about Nephilims? But I don't know. It's pretty interesting because when he went into this, he was talking about technology of its time. When on these pyramids, there's actually talk about how they had Wi-Fi of their time, electrical currents underneath these pyramids, and all this technology and stuff like that. And it made me start thinking, like, what if they had the technology of its time? Why is it our technology a lot better than it should be?
Sure. Yeah. So can I start that?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not a flat earther. I'm not part of that crew. I kind of sit in between. I'm not quite sure, but I find the theories really interesting because there's a hell of a lot of maps from the 1300s through to about the 1600s that show really, really odd mapping systems, right? And so that's something that kind of interests me. And I met a woman who is a member at the gym that I work at, and she's a cartographer. So she actually was one of the first people to map Antarctica back in the 1940s or 1930s from New Zealand. It was really amazing. They went down on one of the first expeditions down there, and she actually mapped it. And I said to her, cool, did you see any craters in the earth and reptilians? Because that's what we were talking about at the time.
I mentioned that too, which is funny that you said that.
Yeah, and so I was like, come on, like, did you see any? And she was like, well, if I did, I can't tell you about it, obviously. And I was like, but she said it's a really interesting thing because you can't really talk about that sort of stuff within that industry. She said we mapped it, her and her husband went down there and mapped it, and there were things that they were privy to and whispers on the wind that were being talked about back then. And so I found that really interesting. She wouldn't go really deep into it and tell me kind of what she thought, but she was definitely alluding to the idea that there were definitely other things that weren't being mapped truthfully in modern day, if that makes sense. There was things that she knew that weren't correct. And so in light of that, like the ice walls, and you see these maps where the world is flat essentially, and then it's got these kind of Antarctic almost ice walls around the outsides. I find that really interesting because if you look at, if you go back, like, biblical, and you go back into the Bible 5,500 years ago, the flood happened, right? Mm-hmm. Then you've got this reset of Tartaria, which was also a flooding situation. You got floods in every single ancient civilization around the world. They all talk about the Great Flood. Doesn't matter whether or not you're looking from a religious context or a biblical context or an ancient civilization. They all talk about the giant flood that came through, essentially lifting the ocean levels and then cutting off things like earth bridges, right? So we have an earth bridge in Australia. Northern Australia was connected to Papua New Guinea, and that was where the thylacine and the Tasmanian tiger and other living dinosaurs, giant lizards, things like that crossed over and migrated down and around and that sort of stuff. Those things are historically accounted for and recorded, right? We know that these things are real. So if you're then talking about whether or not the earth is flat and whether or not there are watchers, aka Nephilim, which would be the fallen angels and the offspring from these fallen angels, or these spiritual beings or whatever, that then created what we would know as giants, right? 13 to 18 foot giants, which we see in New Zealand. we see in Australia, we see in Easter Island, and there is an amazing story in Rapa Nui, which is Easter Island on the southern coast of Argentina, where you've got the big Maui heads and those sort of things that are squished into the ground. There's stories of Spanish conquistadors and explorers that came down, and they were talking, I mean, Juliet talking about this, and they were saying that their men could literally walk between the legs of the natives. They were so incredibly tall. These natives that lived there, their men could walk easily between their legs. Now you're talking like 12 foot, 13 foot for a 6 foot person to be able to walk between the legs. So, sure.
Now, could these Nephilims?
Now,
could these Nephilims be the spirit of?
Sorry, say that again.
Could these Nephilims be the spirit of the Bigfoot, and that's what we're seeing? These giants.
Yeah, well, there's definitely theories that the Bigfoot are these Nephilim, because these the Anunnaki came down and bred with anything and everything and created that. So yeah, 100%. And then you've got technologies that, so next month we're going into Alien Month, and we're going to talk about relics and artifacts that shouldn't be here, right? That we shouldn't be finding. And I'm real excited about that. And Jeff said something about a battery in there. Are you talking about
the battery they found? Yeah,
100%.
It's like everything else, isn't it? That's found, it all just disappears, isn't it? That's it. Like, oh, look at this, and it's disappeared again. Thank you, Smithsonian.
Yeah. Like, what if there were cell phones back in that day, like in that area, and we didn't know about it? There's so much ancient text that has proof of stuff, and all of a sudden it magically disappeared.
Yeah.
Like,
there's really cool theories. Have you guys heard the theories? The stones, not Stonehenge necessarily, but there's other what do they call them? Upright stones.
Did the door just open? Oh, I thought the door opened by itself.
Yeah.
The door just opened by itself.
It was the cat. I'm like, hello.
I was like,
a little furry Bigfoot walking behind.
It was my fairy Bigfoot coming in, my Rosie boy. Hi.
Chupacabra. Anyways, go on. Sorry, I got distracted.
I was going to say, so in like Ireland and Scotland and that sort of stuff, they have these giant kind of I can't remember what they call them, the big stones that stick up. Not Stonehenge necessarily, but similar to that, right? These giant stones that stick up. And there's theories that these stones are actually electrical channelers. So essentially, when an electrical storm goes off, they get hit by lightning, and the lightning filters through these stones, because they're all granite and quartz, right? Filter through these stones into lower layers of these stones that have been embedded into the ground, and they're literally circuitry to filter out electricity to different parts. And they go way out, like the stone lines go for miles, and they can't figure out what these stones lines are for. Yeah, and it could easily be portals, right? But it could easily be, channeling electricity to, I don't know, healing chambers. Is the Giza pyramids not healing chambers? They resonate at the perfect frequency.
Yeah.
Cool. Love that stuff.
I need to go there. When you get the older you get, you kind of need places like that.
Honestly, I like when I came back from Egypt, I was just like, man, I feel good. Like, it was just like, I'm not aching. And then 2 weeks back, the body aches. But I was going back to, it was like the Middle East has so much untapped history and archaeology there. You've got no idea. The stuff that I saw, like traveling around and within the pyramids, within, when you're going to some of these temples, you never ever see that stuff on just random pictures. They always have like the same pictures all the time. It's like the whole light bulb, where it's got the Egyptian guys holding what looks like light bulbs. there's actually way more of those within those corridors. Like we got to go in there and see them. We got our photos taken next to them. But what you don't realize is that there's someone this wall, someone this wall, someone this wall. So it's not just the one or two that they show. There's many other ones of them showing that. It's insane. But yeah, I don't know. Going back to flat Earth, that's just all kind of, yeah, it's a little bit too far. I mean, the whole dome thing, apparently that's what the aliens put on us because we had a naughty finger and kept pressing the nuke button, but who knows? We'll look into that next month.
I believe we're from Mars. We came from Mars and got destroyed and we came here.
Maybe Elon Musk. Maybe Elon Musk. I love it when people talk about how Elon Musk has every opportunity in the world to become a supervillain and go and live on Mars. Like, I'm like, he is the one person that could right now wake up and go, I'm going to be a supervillain and just turn into a supervillain.
I would love to go to Mars. If I had the opportunity, I would do it, but I would have to make sure that it's safe,
Yeah.
Because I don't.
Are you saying you don't want to go up to orbit with Katy Perry?
And start singing? No.
Have you seen all the debunking?
I don't want it to be a firework, where it explodes and starts.
Do you know what I really love? I love the truther community, right? I love these guys and girls that, man, they've got to bring receipts. And I say this to Juliet all the time, right? When you listen to a conspiracy theorist channel or whatever, most of the time, these people have gone so freaking deep to find the truth and the receipts behind the truth. It's awesome because, man, they rip that shit apart, eh? So, like, you look at the Katy Perry, I'm an astronaut bullshit, and then they're just ripping stuff to pieces. And God, there's so many points. It's so great.
I got some theories about that, the whole thing. Like, if you watch the landing and all that stuff, because I talked about this before. I can't remember. I think it was like a month ago or so, like that. But if you look at the landing, it's so AI generated, and the dolphins you see around it, and the watercolor, and the sky doesn't like match with the water. And then when they when they opened the door opened before they got there, and then Jeff Bezos had to say, shut the door. And so he could be the person that opens the door for the first time, and they all come out, oh my gosh, we just went up a rocket for 11 seconds, 11 minutes.
We're now astronauts.
We're astronauts.
One of the best parts I love that somebody brought to the table was like, if you're air compressing something, you can't open the door from the outside.
No.
You have to open it from the inside. It has to pull inwards, right? Or something like that. I was like,
oh my, it's like an airplane.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
I think we're just so more aware now, aren't we, of the bullshit that is basically coming through the media and what people are saying. It's just like, they're getting to the point where they can't get away with it. It doesn't matter how much CGI, people will know that it's CGI. We're understanding what's going on now. People are awakening, as they say, and there is just some crap out there, and you're just like,
And it's exactly what you say, Jules, and it's like what Jeff's comment is, and they found this battery in the pyramid. There are so many things that are being discovered and found. They simply cannot keep covering it up. And some of it's bullshit and some of it is over embellished, like the structures beneath the Giza pyramids, right? 100% over embellished. There are things below the pyramid, but it's not what they say it is. Unfortunately, that part is over embellished. But you can't be sitting there saying it doesn't exist. People are getting to the point where they're just like, we've had enough. Just freaking tell us the truth and tell us what's going on.
Well, like, I want to say this like out loud, and I know a lot of people are watching, like, this whole thing that's going on with this whole war, and so many people post stuff on TikTok of bombings and all this stuff. There's people that say, oh, there's all this stuff crapping going on in California. And then there's this girl posting, oh, we're having lunch here at the same spot. They said there was a bombing, and we're just having a peaceful protest. So it's like going to what you don't know what to believe
Yeah.
in this world, because the internet is so huge and so vast that people have been faking war, which is probably the real war that's actually going on, is all this fakeness
Yeah.
and fake, whatever they call fake news, whatever you want to call it, or anything like that. But it's just so vast right now. You don't know what to believe, and like what they're saying about the UFOs, or what they're saying about this or that, or this whole world war and Israel and Iran. Like, is it all real? We don't know, because I feel like it's a distraction for something, so they could do something way bigger.
Yeah.
Yes, Jeff. Social media does suck. Ever since MySpace, Facebook came and Facebook fucked it all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stand on that. Facebook fucked it all, and now we're like all screwed, because now everybody's thinking, well, that person said this, but no, it's not that way. It doesn't go this way. But Bigfoot gave me a hug, but I don't know if that's true or not. But
He gave me a hug.
but that's why, like they say, there's a story. How they say it? 2 stories of every truth, or whatever, how it goes. I don't know how it goes. You know what I'm talking about. There's a lie, there's a something, and then there's a truth.
We've just had a 14-year-old boy here in Australia be charged because he basically got photos out of like the school books and stuff of his female teachers and female students, and he stuck them on naked bodies and then sent them all out to everybody.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, and so it kind of, people are like, oh, it kind of looked real, but it got reported, and obviously, but it's too late now. Even though it's not them, those photos are out there. These fake photos are out there with their names on it, so it's kind of,
the internet, man.
Yeah, like AI's got 2 sides of it. There's like a really amazing side of it where you can use it for your business and to do really, really cool stuff and give you really cool prompts, and and that's what you should be using it. But then there's like this whole other side where it's being used for nefarious reasons, and a part of them are saying that they've made AI so accessible to everybody because they want that, basically they want stuff to be discredited. They want the whole world to be questioning everything. So it's a way of them to kind of keep control of going, no, that's not the truth. We've got the truth because this is coming from the government, or this is coming from the military.
You can't trust anything now. 100%. Hey, I've got one for you. So you know how Google whitewashes everything, right? So you go and look for something again in 3 days and it's gone, right? And it's so freaking annoying. How about the theory that Mark Zuckerberg, being that we were talking about Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg is actually a reptilian.
I've heard
and
that.
He's come out and gone, no, I'm not. He's actually done a statement saying, I am not a lizard man. And I feel like if you've got to come out and do a statement about it, it's probably true, bro.
Oh, yeah. It has to be. Maybe that's why people call me Bigfoot all the time. Maybe I'm like sneaking out at night and
maybe. Maybe.
Honestly, we have a live coming up in July. Our first live is with Joe from Ancient Enigma Files, and we're talking about reptilians taking over Hollywood and stuff like that. And there is some crazy stuff out there. Like the Queen. I think the Queen back in 2019 on her birthday celebrations was said to have changed a little bit, and people saw it as things. And they actually had an official release on there basically saying, your queen is not quite human, but she's still your queen, and all the rest of it. It stayed on their official website for 5 months. It's like, come on, man. Okay, is the queen a reptilian? What's going on?
Who knows, man? Weird stuff is happening, eh? Like things are going very, very, very strange. And there's so many cryptid stories coming out and
It's
so
been-
many paranormal stories coming out, like more and more and more, right?
And people have been saying like the whole feeling, like their attitude changed, and people say they've had weird feelings, and every time they go outside and things feel weird, it doesn't feel right. And they think it's something in the atmosphere that's going on or whatever that could be. But I want to go back before we go off. I know we have a few left, but I remember, I know a lot of Americans are going to hate me for this, but be patient. I'm going to explain and then you'll understand. And then I'm going to tell you to do the same thing too, because here's why. Before I moved to Australia, I was very selfish, like, America, blah, 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 blah. We're the coolest ever until like I became, a Christian, like I started going to church a lot and stuff, changed my life around and all that, and felt like God. I'm not getting preachy to anybody, so don't like just listen to what I have to say, because this is very interesting, and it made me think when I did this move, because I did something that I never thought I would ever do in my life: go to a different country and be like, oh, this is scary. I'm not coming. I only get like, it was like $2,400 in Australia. Going to Australia with $2,400 in American money is not a lot of money. So that went away in a week. So it was like, oh man, what am I gonna do? So, and I was going to college at the time. So I was a college kid, young, and did this crazy move that I felt like God wanted me to do. And I was like, oh, what am I doing here? Those people here, it's different culture, Aboriginal culture, people with different, religions and all that. And after I started living there, got a job and all that stuff, thank God, because I don't know where I would be without a job. Which is another funny story I got to tell you. With I think it was a wallaby that came out in front of me at night that scared the shit out of me. I was walking home from work and this freaking thing jumped out in front of me. Maybe it was a wombat, I don't know, or a Bigfoot. I don't know what it could have been. But this thing freaked the crap out of me because I didn't know what it was. So like my first defensive move was to run the other way. Like I'm in a totally different country. I'm like, what the hell is this thing? Just like I'm sitting, I'm waiting. But where I was going with this, like being as a selfish person coming from America to Australia, I've talked to so many people that were from so many different backgrounds, different religions, Scientology, Buddha, Christian, Catholic. I got to talk to all these people, and the cool thing about it is when I got to sit on the bench on my way to work, taking a bus, which I didn't know with buses they actually ramp those roundabouts, so that was fun. Because the roads are so damn small, so they're like, oh, we're gonna go over this thing and hope for the best it doesn't flip over. So you can imagine that. But like just talking to these people, and I started to listen to their stories of like their backgrounds, where they're from. It was like, you don't get that in America. You don't. You get, why are you looking at me like that? Or this or blah 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 blah. Don't talk to me. But like each person I got to talk to in a different country, Australians, New Zealand, from people from New Zealand, Asia, Japan, China, didn't matter, India, they were Germany, they were all there. It made me have more of a respect of different countries because of the way they live and their cultural. Because in America we're like, oh, don't stand next to me, and in Australia they're like, how's it going? Okay? No worries, Mike. And I was like, this is different. I'm like, I'm not used to this because I want things done now. And they're like, no worries, Mike, it's okay. And I'm like, I started adapting to that culture after living there for a year, and I was like, man, if I took this adaptation in Australia to America before I came to Australia, I'd be changing lives.
Yeah.
But the reason why I say that is because, like, as an American, don't be selfish. Check out other people's cultures because it's so beautiful to learn about, like, the Aboriginal culture is so beautiful. And just everything about it. Just check it out. Trust me and believe me, it's an amazing feeling, and the people there are amazing. And it doesn't matter. It could be London, France, wherever you go. Every culture is different. Every spirituality is different. But what I'm trying to say is, like, don't be stubborn asshole and go out there and and change the world. That's how I say is be open. Just like with Bigfoot, be open. And this is where I'm going to go to is be open with your heart, because people are like, oh, Bigfoot's not real. But when you go out in the woods, you open yourself up to something like that. It's a whole different culture. You're in their culture.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different meaning. Just like when I moved to Australia, it was a whole different culture and meaning. Like, we're stepping into their land, their territory, their food, where they eat. That's how it is, and that's, I think, how we should respect those other cultures when we walk into something like that.
100%.
That's my soapbox.
Yeah, and I think, coming from being a Kiwi, it's a rite of passage for us when we leave school. We leave New Zealand. We travel. And that is such a big Kiwi thing. We all do it. We all bugger off overseas. We go live in England. We go live in Canada. We come to Australia. We travel to all the islands and stuff, and we always do it. So I think that's kind of and coming from the American side of you, I mean, you guys are so huge and you've got so much there. So, so people are kind of like, oh, I'm going to, just kind of stay like in America. I don't need to travel because I've got all this amazing stuff here. But there's also that fear. A lot of people fear to come to Australia. It's not that bad. We survive.
I survived and I went there.
You will survive Australia. You will enjoy it. You may get beaten up by a kangaroo, bitten by a crocodile or a shark or a spider. You're fine.
just don't put your
The
hand in a hole.
hospitals are great.
It's fear, isn't it? Fear of stepping outside your comfort.
Yeah.
And but as Kiwis, we just kind of, I would be like 2 weeks, and I'd be like, say to my mum, oh, actually, I've just decided to go back to England. She's like, oh, when are you going? I'm like, 2 weeks. It was like, no, what? And she's just like, oh, here she goes again, and I would like basically, country hop, and I'm going back to Australia, I'm coming home, I'm going over here. It's like, for Kiwis, it's just normal. It's like, because we're so small, so we have to island hop, and we have to go to other places to experience other cultures and stuff like that.
And honestly, like, I think part of where I think from a top down kind of perspective, my parents are from like Poland, Belarus, and then my other side's like South African English, right? So I'm a real like mixed bag. I don't know where my roots are at all, so I put my roots down in New Zealand, and that's and part of putting my roots down in New Zealand means that I have to learn all of the culture, right? And I have to be a part of that. And when I grew up, I grew up on a marae. I grew up with Maori people all around me. I grew up in the middle of freaking nowhere. We rode horses to school, like Juliet was saying a while ago. Tie your horse up and jump back on.
Back in the day, where you're cowboys.
One school bus, and if it didn't drive past your house, oh wow, you got to get to school. And so like that was it. And you don't see color, you don't see race, because I was just Lisa and that person was just, Tamati or, whatever. And he's just my bro and I'm just
he's my cuz. Everyone's cuz.
It's what it is, and every family just works together, and there is no race, there is no anything. It's just we are all New Zealanders, and you're part of the whatever part of that. And I think it's really I think probably a lot of Americans are probably challenged with that as well, because it's really hard to find where your roots are when you've been displaced. White Americans at least aren't from that land, they're from other places, and it's really hard to try and connect with your roots and your genealogy when you're freaking miles away, or you've been so incredibly cut up into different parts of, you know, culture, that it's really, really hard to find those roots. But I think that's part of what makes like Australia and New Zealand the way that we are, and super hospitable and super like come and hang out with us.
What have you got?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because you identify to it, right? And that's it. And you put your roots down and you assimilate to a point. You understand the culture that sits on that land. And if you don't do that, you're only ever getting a very, very small portion of what you should be getting, right? So if you're an American, man, get into that Native American culture, because that's freaking awesome. You got bloody Aztecs and all sorts of shit there. Like, go hard, man. Learn. Teach us.
Well, before we go, like, that's why the reason why I showed you that tat is the reason why, because like when I did that move, it changed my life forever. Aspect of everything worldwide. It opened my eyes, opened my heart, and I just, you know, recommend for people just to do the same thing, because like you said, race, like, it shouldn't be about race. It doesn't matter if you're blue, brown, green, purple, whatever it is. It's about having a heart, you know, and caring about for people. And that's what the show's about. And I hope people understand that, where I'm coming from with this is that it's the whole world of people just care about each other. You know, fuck the war, fuck all that shit. You know, we're here about to be
down, aliens. If you're an Acturian or whatever, come on down. I'll embrace you.
You're a Bigfoot like me, just like.
Come on, Bigfoot. Come give us a hug.
Just give you a big hug.
Yeah.
But like, before we head out, why don't you tell everybody where they could find you and how they could reach you guys, and ask some amazing questions.
Oh, well, we've got news, because this next Tuesday is our very last live on Instagram, or Monday night for anyone in the States. So it's our last live on Instagram, and then we are heading straight on over to YouTube. So we're super excited. You can catch us on YouTube at Cryptid Women's Society. You can jump onto the website, cryptidswomensociety.com. You can get yourself a membership, or the most amazing woman in your life a membership, 100%. And you can find us on all of the good socials. Cryptid Women's Society. Was that good? Was that good? Did you like that?
Awesome.
This has been awesome. Again, thank you so much. We've had so much fun, and like we said, there's so many conversations, and I really, again, I need to talk to you about your paranormal deep diving.
Well, if you want me to be on your show, I'd love to talk about it.
Yes. Let's book you in. That would be awesome.
I've been I think paranormal diving's gonna really skyrocket here, because it's not a lot of people do it, and it's a very gray area, but not a lot of people know about paranormal diving.
Yeah. All right. That is our topic. Let's get you on. Let's book you in.
So before the show goes off, oh, sorry, my phone. But yeah, when we get off the show, we'll talk about booking and stuff like that. Sorry, my ADD's like all over the place. But thank you so much, everybody, for listening on Animal Expedition Files. Definitely check out Cryptid Women's Society. You don't want to miss out. They're a lot of fun. Hang out with them, check them out. If you want them on your show, go bother them like I do. They're a lot of fun. They're amazing people, and they're from Australia. One of my favorite places to be at. So Australia is always a home in my heart. Always will be, and I'll never forget that place. I will be back one day.
Definitely come back. We'll take you on an expedition. There you go. We'll go find some yowies.
I want to give that yowie a hug. He might come out if I'm there. He'll be like, "Who's that weirdo?"
Yeah.
It looks like a Bigfoot. Don't know about that.
Is it a Bigfoot? I might have to test him out. But all right, guys, I'll talk to you guys in the back room here. But everybody, I hope everybody has a good week, and I will see you Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we're gonna have a lot of fun. So see y'all, and have a great night.
Bye.
Peace and stay squatchy.
lights on.